Welcome back to Strange Monkey Reviews, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean, it's pretty obvious if you read the title. I'm here to discuss how the Hellraiser franchise nearly made me lose my sanity. Or maybe it did. I don't know anymore. So let's discuss. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about 1987's classic Hellraiser from the mind of Mr. Clive Barker. It's about a woman who discovers the newly resurrected, partially formed body of her brother-in-law. She starts killing him to revitalize his body so he can escape the demonic beings that are pursuing him after he escaped their sadistic underworld. Now then, this film is a classic. There is no doubt about that. Let me just say this. I felt bad for Larry, the father in the movie. You know, if I found out, it's just me, if I were in his position, if I found out that Julia, the wife, was having an affair with his brother Frank, and then he ends up getting killed because he wanted to play with this puzzle box that he found to find otherworldly pleasures and things like that, you know, before the marriage and everything. If I found out that he was resurrected because of a drop of blood in the house, and he was hiding in the attic trying to resurrect himself, and Julia was helping him, and then my daughter Kirsty got involved in this whole situation and accidentally brought back the Cenobites, you know what I would have done? I would have taken that puzzle box and overhand slapped the shit out of Frank, and then I would have given the box to Kirsty because I don't hit women, and then Kirsty would have overhand slapped the shit out of Julia with the box, and then make a deal with the Cenobites to take them instead of us. Everybody's happy. It's a win-win. Boom. So then you got Hellraiser 2. Kirsty is brought to an institution after the horrible events of the first film, where the occult obsessive head doctor, Mr. Chenard, resurrects Julia and unleashes the Cenobites and their demonic underworld. So let me start off by saying this is a solid sequel. You have a little bit of a backstory going with Pinhead and you know where he comes from, but they explore that a bit more in the third film. Now, let me just say this. Kirsty is in this situation with this other girl named Tiffany, who's basically being used to open up this puzzle box, the Lament configuration, right? But Chenard is obsessed. He wants to know where these things come from. He's so curious. But you know what I would have done? Because Kirsty, if I would have found out that Uncle Frank is trying to send messages, pretending to be the dad and saying, I'm in hell, help me, please, and sends me on a fucking mission to try to find my dad, and if I were to realize that it's all a lie and Frank was just trying to come back to Earth again, I would have taken that puzzle box and overhand slapped the shit out of Frank for good this time. Then I would have given... No, actually, Julia is up next because she's back and she's trying to manipulate the doctor and everybody so she can come back and everything is all good. I would have... Well, in this case, it's Kirsty, so it's a woman. I would have overhand slapped the shit out of Julia again, then given the box to Tiffany so she can overhand slap the shit out of Dr. Chenard for being stupid and trying to unleash all of these fucking demons on this earth. And then I would have made a deal with the Cenobites once again. Hey, listen, you know, you're human. You know you were human once, right? Look at this picture. You were a soldier in the military. All of you guys were humans. Did you know that? Yeah. You can just do whatever the hell you want, I guess, if you're able to. Think for yourselves. Take this fucking guy out, and I'll leave you to it. Happily ever after. Which brings us to Hellraiser 3. An investigative reporter must send the newly unbound Pinhead and his legions back to hell. This is basically Hellraiser America Edition, the MTV heavy metal Hellraiser. It's batshit crazy, over the top, cheesy, and it's as 90s as it's gonna get. Like I said, they explore Pinhead's backstory. There's a lot of focus on Pinhead this time around. While the journalist, the reporter, Joey, she is caught up in this whole situation between the asshole nightclub owner, his ex-girlfriend, and then Pinhead trying to get back into the world and unleash chaos, hell on earth. It's an amazing film. Some people don't like it. I fucking enjoyed it for what it is. You can't take it seriously. There was a lot of promotion on this. This is where Pinhead was really brought to American audiences on a bigger scale. And what did we get? We got we got Pinhead versus David Spade at the MTV Awards. Look it up. I'm not fucking kidding. Now then, Hellraiser Bloodline. In the 22nd century, a scientist attempts to right the wrong that his ancestor created, the puzzle box that opens the gates of hell and unleashes Pinhead and his Cenobite legions. You're basically taken on a journey from the past, the present, and the future in this specific installment, and I must say, I liked it. This was the last great Hellraiser, in my opinion, for the longest time. But I know someone who doesn't feel the same way like I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is my mystery guest, Knight from the Night Watch Zone.
Hellraiser 4, Hellraiser 4, Hellraiser Bloodline, Hellraiser. What the fuck is going on? That's what we need to call this movie. I have ranted about this movie so much because here's the thing, guys. The first Hellraiser and its sequel, Hellbound, I think are two great films. They're two great horror films. I think they are so well done, so creative, great atmosphere, great story, and so forth. I love them. I truly do. This was the beginning of such a creative franchise in the midst of my horror fandom, where you had Freddy, Michael Myers, Jason, you had all these great characters, and Pinhead and this franchise started to become part of that. Hellraiser 3 is where I think I started to see some changes that weren't big for me. I wasn't totally on board with some of those changes, but Hellraiser 3 was fine. Hellraiser 4, which was, as far as I know, the last film that they really had a lot of input from Clive Barker, it just strayed so far away from what we had previously seen. And I'm not saying to do the same thing. You do want to, expand and make things fresh, but it just made no sense. You have these 3 time periods and this whole storyline of this bloodline that is, tied to the box and this and that, and they're a threat to hell and all of this, and it's like it just didn't really make a lot of sense to me, or I should say maybe it just wasn't super interesting. Now there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with this film, rewrites, changes, director changes, all of this different stuff, so I'm sure that was a part of it. Also, let me just say shout out to Kim Myers, who is absolutely fantastic, most notably from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. She is lovely and very cool in person. Got a chance to meet her at a convention, and I even said to her, I said, "You were one of the best parts of Hellraiser 4," and she laughed. She knows what's going on. She knows this movie is bad. But I mean, think about this. The whole storyline is, you've got this timeline in the past, the present, and then of course in the future. And in the future, the big plan is a space station that is going to fold into the puzzle box, that is going to have perpetual light inside of it, that is going to kill Pinhead and the Cenobites and close the gates to hell forever. What? First of all, why do we have a demon from hell in space? Number one. I'm not saying that can't happen, but look, we all know the only person that can go to space and make a good movie is Jason. Let's just be real. But no, it's like, why do we have a demon from hell in space and we're trying to kill him? Like, isn't he not alive already? It's like, how does this movie make any sense? You have, some new characters like Angelique, who was kind of cool, but they kind of changed her motivations when they were doing a lot of the rewrites and reshoots and stuff like that. So she didn't really make a lot of sense either. Then in the present, when you have, the descendant, John Merchant and Kim Myers as the wife, and they have a son, you have Pinhead going to the apartment or the home or whatever, and you have that scene where he puts the dagger in a picture. What is Pinhead doing? He is a hell priest. Why? What do you do? Bro, you can do better than that. You're not a masked killer, okay? This is not Michael Myers we're talking about. This is supposed to be Pinhead. So I just think that the way they characterized Pinhead was off. they definitely strayed away from what made him effective, in my opinion. And it's not that I needed to have him all throughout the film, but I think just his presence and that creepy atmosphere that we saw in 1 and 2 and even in 3, I just think that they totally left that in the dust. You know, you weren't able to utilize Doug Bradley's abilities to its utmost, right? Well, you weren't able to really utilize anyone else to the utmost either, including Ken Myers. Don't forget about that. But no, seriously, it was just some ridiculous shit in this movie. It irritates me so much, and I like to joke around about it. And again, Strange Monkey, I love you, man. Thank you for letting me do this. But the reason that this movie irritates me is because I think this franchise could have been so much better. You know, after Hellraiser 4, everything was direct to video and they were going down all these weird ass rabbit trails. Like, what's going on? I don't know. I only saw a couple of them. And it's just, I think this was kind of like the turning point for the franchise. So, number one, you have a convoluted story. I think that was ridiculous. You shouldn't have a convoluted story in a Hellraiser movie, in my opinion. Number two, the characterization of Pinhead was so weird. They had him doing shit that Michael Myers would be doing, okay? Stalking the kid and all that. And it's like, what are you doing, bro? You're better than that. You know it. You know you're better than that. And then number three, the whole motivation to kill Pinhead. Just send him back to hell. Say you're going to close the gate, but it's like, bro, you created a space station that would fold up into the box to kill Pinhead. It's like, well, wait a minute. What? Why do we have to kill him in space? Why can't we kill him on Earth? You know what I'm saying? Or either have them travel to hell like Kirsty did in the sequel in Hellraiser 2. Travel to hell and do something to close the gates of hell. I would have much rather have seen that. But, I mean, this was almost like an action movie in some spots, especially on the space station. There were a few good kills. There was a few good designs that were pretty good, like those twins. That was pretty cool. But, man, overall, nah, man. It's such a weird-ass movie for Hellraiser. I'm not saying it's the worst thing I've ever seen, but I think it's because I was just so disappointed because of what could have been for this movie and this franchise going forward. So anyways, man, that's my rant. Hopefully it made sense. The bottom line is Hellraiser 4 sucks. Okay? That's what you got to remember. It really, really sucks. It just disappointed me and frustrated me to no end. So anyways, thank you so much, Strange Monkey. I appreciate being a part of this. You rock, man. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Thank you very much, Knight, for sharing your thoughts on Hellraiser Bloodline. So, let's keep this moving, shall we? Hellraiser Inferno. This is where I start to lose my sanity. It's about a shady detective doing shady things, and there's weird shit going on with him and with the Cenobites, and nobody is likable. The ending is very dark and hopeless. That detective got what was coming to him. And shout out to the people who worked on the lighting in this film, because Pinhead looked absolutely amazing in these scenes. That's the only good thing I will say. Hellraiser Hell sequel. I'm already losing my shit at this point. It's about a shady stockbroker named Trevor who suffers from amnesia during a car crash. And he gets involved in all these crazy situations on his way to finding out the truth, which leads him to Pinhead. And it turns out this man was married to Kirsty, and he was disloyal and slept with other women, and his friends were involved in this whole thing. He underestimated Kirsty, and she made a deal with Pinhead to give him 5 souls in exchange for hers. Deal! Smart move. She lives, her husband dies after she took him down. Congratulations, Trevor. You played yourself. Hellraiser Deader. It's about a journalist who uncovers an underground group who can bring back the dead and slowly becomes drawn into their world. Look, this movie is boring. All I can remember, it was kind of like Reanimator meets Hellraiser, and the journalist gets caught up in this whole thing with this stupid cult that tries to bring back Pinhead or use them. He thinks he can control them. Nah, son, that's not how it's going down. Once again, this guy ends up getting himself killed and his cult And that woman sacrifices herself to send Pinhead back. So what I can say to that cult leader is, once again, congratulations, you played yourself. Hellraiser Hellworld is about a bunch of dumbass kids who go to this dumbass party. It revolves around this game that they're playing, this online game about Hellraiser, which is, I guess, I don't know, meta. I'm not really sure. But the host of the party, Bishop Lance Henriksen, is like, surprise! This is all real, and you're all gonna die. And it's up to King Ezekiel and Superman to try to stop them, and it doesn't go very well. Hellraiser Revelations. My God. Two college friends unwittingly release Pinhead and his minions. That's it. He gets his family killed and basically everybody else. Maybe one person survives, I think. I'm not sure. This is the Wish version of Hellraiser. It's not that exciting. Sadly, there is a good story in there somewhere, but they were rushed into production. Pinhead looks like a cosplayer, and so does his little Cenobite buddy, and the rest of them that are in this film. This is just garbage, 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 hot garbage that was left out in the sun for too long. Let's continue to Hellraiser Judgment. More detectives are looking for a serial killer, and they come across the Lament configuration, Pinhead and the Cenobites and the Auditor and his members of the jury. This movie was disturbing and disgusting. It was one of the best ones since Bloodline. They introduced not of this world-like characters like the Auditor, and that's what I enjoyed about it. The Pinhead actor did a great job as well. Let's move on. Hellraiser 2022. It revolved around a young woman struggling with addiction, and she comes into possession of the ancient puzzle box. She is unaware that its purpose is to summon the Cenobites. This right here is a fantastic remake. This is what the franchise most desperately needed. They needed to hit the reset button because things were not looking great, unfortunately. It was free from Dimension Films. I love the look of the Cenobites using flesh instead of, the tight leather, which was pretty much out of style. I love the actors in the film. They had great chemistry, in my opinion. The lead actress was very good. Jamie Clayton, who played Pinhead, or the priest in this film, she brought an amazing performance. She brought her A game to the table. Even Doug Bradley approved. If there was anybody who deserved an overhand slap in this film, it was Voight, the villain of the film, who basically lures people in with the puzzle box to sacrifice them to the Leviathan thing so he can experience otherworldly pleasures and desires and powers, the usual with these villains, these assholes. So that's the franchise in a nutshell. The Hellraiser franchise that nearly made me lose my sanity. But I'm okay now because we got good sequels. Who knows where they will go in the future? I look forward to it. And I just want to move on now. So, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to The Strange Monkey. And subscribe to the Night Watch Zone as well, because that channel is fantastic. Did you like this franchise? Let me know what you think about the Hellraiser franchise in general. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, tell people about The Strange Monkey, subscribe to the channel, click on that notification bell, follow me on all my social media platforms, and have yourselves a good fright.